My name is Richard, but my story carries more than just that name. In Port Harcourt City, I am Richard. In a quiet village in Cross River State called Abia, I'm known as Idara, the same name my fellow corps members chose to call me. Between the two names lies a journey, and at the center of that journey is a girl named Teddy. Before I talk about Teddy, the girl who turned my Nysc experience into something I could never forget, let me take you back to the beginning. I need to, because that's how everything started to make sense. The Nysc program, for those who don't know, is a one-year service for graduates in Nigeria. It begins with 3 weeks of orientation camp in a state you may have never even visited before. After the camp, you're posted to a place of primary assignment, called a PPA. Sometimes, during the camp, you can apply for relocation, usually due to health or security reasons, and if you're lucky, they grant your wish. I was posted to Ebonyi State. That wasn't my dream destination. I wanted Cross River, specifically Calabar. I had my hopes high, prayed hard, and even paid someone to help me get a PPA in Calabar. But like many Nigerian stories, I was scammed. My money disappeared, and instead of Calabar, I was sent to the last place I thought I would ever be, a village called Abia in Itung local government. I called it the end of Nigeria. There was barely any mobile network there, except for MTN, and even that didn't work well. No browsing, no chatting, no markets, no good roads. The village was known for two things, cocoa and agbono. The people were kind, yes, but I couldn't shake the sadness that hit me the moment I stepped into Abia. I felt like I had said goodbye to my entire digital life. My friends, my freedom, my connection to the world, and even my online business. That was how it started. But God had a different script. That evening, as I sat quietly in front of one of the lodges, trying to absorb my reality, a bike pulled up. And it was a girl. She looked confused. The bike man pointed at us and said, "That's where corpers stay." She looked at the building like it was a horror movie. I couldn't blame her. I felt the same just a few hours ago. She got off the bike. Her name was Nena, but she said we should call her Teddy. She was dark-skinned, with eyes that held questions and a strength she probably didn't even know she had. She wasn't smiling. Her face told the whole story. "This can't be where I'll stay for a whole year," she said. I felt her pain. I had said those same words in my head. Somto, a fellow corps member, started calling the others to announce the arrival of a new girl. Maewa, a Yoruba guy from my school, and I helped carry her bags. Maewa, with his cheerful energy, started trying to cheer her up, saying, "Don't worry, this isn't where you'll stay." She followed us, hoping for a better place. As we walked, I told her I had just arrived that morning and we were in the same Nysc batch. I noticed she relaxed a bit after that. I guess it was comforting to know someone else was also new, nervous, and lost. What she didn't know was that I was already beginning to feel something. Maybe it was attraction. Maybe just relief. But I knew one thing. Something about her gave me hope. When we got to the actual lodge, the one the school gave us, her face fell again. It was worse than the last place. Our lodge was just 2 classrooms divided with wooden planks. One was for girls, the other for guys. The guys' room was an open hall. No privacy. No order. Just throw your mattress and survive. "I can't stay in this place," Teddy said, almost crying. She wanted to relocate again. The next morning, she planned to start the process. But that night, something shifted. We visited the vice principal of our school. On the way, she kept walking close to me, holding me sometimes. She said it was because I was the only familiar face. I didn't mind, I liked the feeling. It was comforting. The vice principal welcomed us, offered drinks, and treated us well. Teddy smiled, a real smile. It was the first time I saw it. "I like these villagers," she said. That night, we went back to the original house where we first met her. The owner usually turned on his generator, and that was where we charged our phones. Teddy and I sat and talked. She leaned on my shoulder and fell asleep. I just sat there, still, not wanting to move. It felt like something sacred had begun. Part 2. The waterfall, the war, and the warmth of new love. The morning after Teddy arrived was different. The Abia air still felt heavy, but it no longer felt hopeless. I had someone to talk to. Someone who understood what it meant to feel completely out of place. That morning, something else changed. Lucky came back. Corper Lucky was like a village celebrity. Everyone knew him. He spoke Igbo fluently and moved around with villagers like he was born there. We hadn't seen him the previous day, so when he walked into the lodge at 5:30 a.m. asking, "Where's the new corper?" we all knew exactly who he was talking about. Teddy stepped out, and I swear Lucky's eyes nearly popped out of his head. I saw it clearly. He was impressed. But not just that. He was interested. I knew it. I've seen that look before. He smiled wide and switched immediately to Igbo, which made Teddy laugh. She loved speaking Igbo, especially since it wasn't so common in our circle. While they laughed, I stood aside quietly, just watching. I won't lie, I felt a little sting in my chest. We had our local government clearance that day. All the corps members were gathered, waiting for the LGI, local government inspector. Everyone was talking about Teddy, the fine new girl. She stood out, not just because of her beauty, but because she carried herself like she was dropped into the wrong place. Grace in the midst of grass. Lucky didn't waste time. He started hovering around Teddy, talking, teasing, asking questions, laughing too hard at her jokes. And yet, every single time Teddy wanted to sit down or walk somewhere, she'd look for me. She always came to sit next to me. That drove Lucky crazy. He finally asked her, "Did you know this guy before camp?" Teddy laughed and said, "No. I just met him here." That answer satisfied me more than him. I could see it in his eyes. He felt defeated, but he wasn't going to give up that easily. After the clearance, we all visited the waterfall, the only beautiful thing in that whole community. We went as a group, me, Teddy, Maewa, Samto, Rejoice, Yemisi, Lucky, all the coppers in the community, and even a few villagers who tagged along. The waterfall was magical. The sound of rushing water, the cool breeze, and the green trees towering above us made it feel like we had entered another world. For a moment, Abia didn't feel like a punishment. Teddy changed into her swimming trunks, and when she stepped out of the changing space, I forgot how to breathe. She looked like a goddess straight out of a movie, beautiful skin that glowed under the sun, perfect body, a smile that could disarm a soldier. Everyone turned to look. Even the waterfall paused, I swear. I was too stunned to even go close. But then she waved at me and shouted, "Ira, come inside." My heart skipped. I entered the water, and immediately, my joy turned into frustration. Lucky was all over her. So was one villager who had no shame at all. It felt like I was in a battlefield for attention. Teddy smiled at me from time to time, but Lucky wasn't giving up. At one point, he was holding her hand under the water. My chest burned. I hated competition. I preferred peace. But then, as we were coming out of the water, Teddy held my hand. That was it. That little gesture spoke louder than any sentence. It was like she said, "Relax, you're the one I'm here with." That night, after we got back to the lodge, I couldn't stop thinking about her. I laid on my mattress, staring at the ceiling. I had no music, no social media, no distractions, just thoughts of Teddy. The crazy part? She was thinking about me too. The next morning, Corper Rejoice, who had grown up in Port Harcourt like me, had a conversation with Teddy concerning me, and Teddy took her aside and said, "Rejoice, guess what?" "What?" Rejoice asked, curious. "I feel like I'm going to have sex with Idara soon." Rejoice froze. I heard it. I didn't know whether to be excited or scared. It had been just 3 days. How could something so deep happen so fast? But then again, maybe it wasn't just the number of days. Maybe it was the intensity, the loneliness, the shared struggle, the broken expectations. Everything added up, like dry wood waiting for a spark. That spark came on the 4th day. We were alone in the lodge. Everyone else had gone out, either to the VP's house or to the village football match. Teddy came over to my side of the room. She sat close, then closer again. We started talking about our lives before Nysc, our dreams, our past relationships, and even watched a little movie on my phone. She rested her head on my chest. Then the moment came. Slow, natural. I didn't force it. She didn't resist. We kissed, and soon, we were in each other's arms, completely lost in the moment. It was passionate. It was emotional. And afterward, she looked at me and said something I'll never forget. I didn't think anyone could make me feel like this in this kind of place. That night, we didn't sleep apart. We slept side by side, our fingers intertwined. Part 3. The village drama, the test of love, and a taste of fire. From the day Teddy and I crossed that line, things changed, both for better and for worse. On the outside, everything seemed normal. We laughed during morning duties, walked to school together, fetched water together, and even shared meals sometimes. But inside the corpers lodge, tension was building up like smoke in a locked room. Lucky noticed. He noticed how Teddy would smile when I entered the room. How she would unconsciously lean toward me when we sat as a group. How I'd hold her hand without even thinking. It burned him up. One afternoon, as I returned from fetching water, I overheard Lucky talking to Mayowa at the back of the lodge. "That guy no be my guy again," Lucky said. "You mean Idara?" Mayowa asked. "Yes. So if a guy like that can collect women from me, what else can he collect?" I didn't say a word. I just quietly turned back and took a long route through the bush path to avoid them. I felt betrayed. Lucky had always been the community guy, the one who blended in, who had the villagers' love, the language, the charm. Maybe he thought Teddy would naturally fall for him too. But she didn't. She chose me. That week, he stopped greeting me. And I didn't force anything either. I just focused on Teddy, my school duties, and surviving village life. A storm brews. Teddy and I grew closer. We started doing almost everything together. We went to school early in the mornings to teach, came back together, and sometimes even visited the village waterfall on weekends, just the two of us. We'd sit by the rocks, feet in the water, and talk about life outside and was. She talked about her dreams of owning a makeup studio in Abuja. I told her how I wanted to teach web development and maybe become a tech instructor someday. Those conversations gave us hope. But not everyone was happy for us. Some villagers began to talk. They are always together. Is that how corpers behave? Have they even married yet? One day, a woman even shouted at Teddy in the market, saying, "You think because you are beautiful, you will come here and scatter our boys." Teddy cried that night. I held her in my arms, speechless. What could I say? The final straw came 2 weeks later when a rumor started flying around the community that Teddy was pregnant. She wasn't. But in a small place like Abia, rumors don't need proof to spread. All they need is jealousy, and there was plenty of that. Yemisi, the quiet Yoruba girl in our lodge, tried to help. She went to the village women's meeting and defended Teddy, saying, "Even if she was pregnant, what's your business? Is it not her body?" That helped a bit. But the damage was done. Teddy started withdrawing. She didn't want to go out much. She cried a lot at night. I had to sit with her and tell her over and over, "You're not alone. I'm here." Fire and ashes. Then something happened that nearly destroyed everything. One night, a fire broke out near our lodge. It started from the back of a villager's house. Someone had left palm oil boiling and forgotten it. The fire spread fast, fueled by the dry grass and harmattan breeze. I was outside with Mayowa when I saw smoke. We ran and started screaming, "Fire! Fire!" Everyone rushed out, some with buckets, some with pots. The whole community came out, including old women in wrappers. The fire got close to our lodge. Teddy was inside, sleeping. She had taken sleeping tablets because of her anxiety. The smoke had already started entering the back of our classroom lodge. I ran in without thinking. Mayowa shouted, "No, go inside. Are you mad?" But I was already inside. I lifted Teddy off the mattress. She was heavy and unconscious. I carried her out, coughing, struggling to breathe. That night, after the fire was quenched and we were all sitting around outside, covered in ash and sweat, Teddy finally opened her eyes. She saw me, smiled weakly and whispered, "You came for me." I nodded and said, "I always will." That moment changed everything. Healing and hope. The community saw what happened. The same villagers who had insulted Teddy now praised her. Some even brought gifts, bread, bananas, pap, and eggs. One old woman even said, "Any man who runs into fire for a woman deserves her forever." The rumor died. The love grew. Lucky quietly came back one day and greeted me. I didn't hold a grudge. I greeted him back. We didn't talk much after that, but the tension disappeared. The dry season passed. Rain began to fall. Teddy started painting again. She turned one of the school's empty rooms into a mini studio. She gave free makeovers to students and taught girls how to apply powder and lip gloss. I started teaching HTML and CSS in the school's computer lab, even though there was no light and we had to draw laptops on the board. We were building something. Not just love. Not just service. But legacy. Part 4. The goodbye, the city dreams, and the wedding that shook WhatsApp. Months flew by like the harmattan wind. The once dreaded Abia community had become a place of memories. The waterfall, the red dusty roads, the small market that never had changed, and the village kids who called us kappas and ran behind us every morning, everything started to feel like home. Teddy and I had become almost inseparable. We were the couple everyone now respected, admired, and in some cases, even envied. The same people who gossiped about us now asked us for advice. Lucky, though not very close to me, started respecting our space. He focused more on his work and grew a quiet friendship with Rejoice, which we all found interesting. Maewa, Sammy, the new copper, Yemisi, they all became family. But then came the final 3 months of Nysc. That's when the panic began. What happens after this? Teddy asked me one night under the mango tree beside the lodge. We go back to our cities. Start chasing jobs, dreams, I said. She looked at me, eyes glassy. And us. I was silent. I didn't want to lie, and I didn't want to lose her. That week, she traveled home briefly to attend a cousin's wedding in Enugu. I was left alone for a few days, and for the first time, I felt what loneliness meant, real, deep loneliness. I missed everything about her, even the way she sang off-key in the bathroom. When she returned, I knew I had to do something. The proposal, kind of. There was no ring, no flowers, no romantic music. It was just the two of us on the rock beside the waterfall one early Saturday morning. The sun was still yawning, and the birds were louder than normal. I took her hand, looked her in the eyes, and said, I don't want to lose you after MSc. She blinked. What are you saying? I mean, after Nysc, will you continue this with me? Like seriously? She smiled, nodded, and said, that's all I've ever wanted. That was it. No ring. No kneeling. Just heart speaking. We didn't announce it to anyone. We just knew this was serious. Passing out parade, POP. The final camp at the LJ headquarters was bittersweet. Everyone dressed in white and khaki, wearing smiles and mixed feelings. We took hundreds of pictures. We hugged old friends. We laughed at how scared we were on our first day. Then the Nysc certificate was handed over. That small A4 paper meant our service was done. Teddy cried a little. Why are you crying? I teased. Because this means it's over, she said. No, I said. It's just beginning. We returned to our different homes after that. She went back to Ebonyi. I went back to Port Harcourt. And for a few months, it felt like everything would fall apart. City stress and distant hearts. Port Harcourt life came with pressure. Interviews, job hunting, family expectations. Teddy was facing the same thing in Ebonyi. But we still kept in touch, video calls, WhatsApp chats, voice notes filled with I miss yous and are you eating well? Sometimes we'd argue. Distance was hard. Sometimes I felt she was pulling away. Other times she felt I didn't prioritize her enough. But we never went a day without coming back to each other. Then one day she called. Guess what? What? I got a makeup gig in Calabar for a bride, and I'll be passing through Port Harcourt. I don't think I've ever cleaned my room that hard in my life. The surprise of my life. Teddy came. She was finer than ever. Her braids were new, her glow had multiplied, and her perfume? My God, the whole room changed scent. We talked, ate, laughed, and watched an old Nollywood film. Then she stood up, picked something from her bag, and dropped it on my lap. What's this? I asked. A small gift, she said. It was a custom key holder with the words, to the one who ran into fire for me. My eyes watered. I hugged her tightly and whispered, "Will you marry me?" She smiled and whispered back, "I already did in my heart that night you saved me." 2 years later, we had a small wedding, just 50 people. Mostly Nysc friends, close family, and a few villagers who traveled all the way from Abia. Even the waterfall was printed on the souvenir bags. Corper Sammy was my best man. Yemisi did the opening prayer. Corper Izzy's a Yoruba corper, danced like a madman. Rejoice caught the bouquet and screamed, "Nami be next." And Lucky? He came. He shook my hand, looked at Teddy, and said, "You two made it. I respect that." We now live in Abuja. Teddy owns a small but growing makeup studio called Teddy's Touch, and I'm teaching coding at a tech hub, slowly becoming the instructor I dreamed of becoming. Sometimes we sit and laugh at how our love story began. In a lonely village, with no network, no good road, but full of destiny. The end, or maybe just the beginning.